Hey, in this video, we're going to calculate ROAS, return on ad spend. We're going to do it in two ways. I think this is going to be a really fun video because you're going to see how I do it in how I create ROAS, or return on ad spend, in a formula, which is going to be concatenate around and then a divide. Then we're going to concatenate that with the ratio. And I'm also going to show you how to create a custom function, which gets into some really interesting parts of AppScript that I think absolutely blows away anything you might have already done in AppScript if you've already been working with AppScript. And it's very simple. So if you've never worked with AppScript before, follow along in this step-by-step tutorial and we'll get there. What is return on ad spend? It's when you're spending money on advertising, direct pay-per-click advertising, and you can have some some attribution as to what gets purchased based on those ads. You can calculate the amount of ad spending you do versus how much revenue you make total. And usually what happens is this comes out to a ratio. These are ratios like 2-to-1, 5-to-1, 6-to-1, 12-to-1. In the heyday of Facebook marketing, I think people were getting 12-to-1 or 24-to-1 and absolutely blowing away the competition and being able to run the ad profitably. So we're not running ads in this video. We're actually just trying to calculate this and display it in a ratio. This is the hard part, right? We can do calculations, meaning like percentage, very easily. We can do equals. We're just going to do here, we have some revenue in column B. Let me label this revenue. And we have some spend in column C. Simply, we might be able to do equals B2 divided by C2. And this gives us a 0.79. Great. We can use this in a Google Sheet, and you might already be using this and saying, okay, I understand this ratio. This is going to be 2.8 to 1. And then go and display that somewhere else. But we want to actually display this ratio because that's how we think. That's how we want to compare, right? We don't want to have to do the work, even if it's just a quick cognitive work of saying, okay, 2.79 is equal to 2.8:1. Maybe we want to copy paste that text somewhere. Or maybe we want to create a nice dashboard that shows this month's ROAS versus last month's ROAS, and we want to do that in a sheet, and we don't want to type that out. We want to actually just get the answer. Again, the first way we can do this is taking that percentage, B2 divided by, let's do that, B2 divided by C2. There we go. And we're going to wrap that in around. I'm going to round that to 2 places. So if it might be a little too much if it's 3 places, 2 places. It's up to you what you want to show. But that's not it. We need to add the :1. So how do we do that? Super easy. Again, we're going to use a combination here of round and concatenate. Concatenate, make sure we spell that correctly. And what are we going to concatenate? The thing we want to concatenate is :1. We're going to put that in quotes, :1, and then put an end parentheses here. And there we go. We have now displayed, we have formatted this text from percentage, right? 2.79, blah, blah, blah. And now we can copy paste this down. We might. Let's see if we can do this. I don't know if we can do this with array formula. I always wonder, some things we can do array formula in, some things you can't. Let's test that out now. We want array formula. We just have to change B2 to :B. and C2 :C. We have a divide by 0. Oh, probably because of this. Maybe we can do, I wonder if this is going to work. If is blank 2. So let's move that inside the array formula. If is blank. Let's just take a little moment and see if this works. Blank C2 to C. Oh, we get a bunch of divide by zeros. Okay, so it doesn't seem like, maybe it's this round that we can't do, or this concatenate. But it seems like array formula can't work here. That's good to know that we can't do that. We have our formula that we can copy paste throughout the whole thing. But now, what if we want to do that with a more elegant solution? Like if we want to, say, display this text with a more elegant solution, not in display, but in usage. Let's say we're creating a sheet for clients. Maybe you're already a pay-per-click agency, or you're doing some freelance work, and you're like, I would love to do the math for people, and I would love to get this solution, but seeing this formula, concatenate round :1, this is not elegant. Someone can look at this, see it, and be like, oh, okay, I can do that math myself. What if we just created a function that's built into Google Sheets called ROAS, and we got the first thing, which is revenue, and we got the spend, and we figured out the ratio there? How do you do that? I will show you step by step. So we'll go to extensions. Do not worry, this is not a horrible thing. It is literally 4 lines of code here, and we're gonna write it all out. And this crazy thing in front of it is what's called JSDoc, and I will go over that as well, because what happens is if we do equals, let's say we created another function called CPM, and we use that. Right now, it doesn't look like it's actually a function. But if we use ROAS, which has that JSDoc there, ROAS, it has autocomplete. So now other people using your sheet are going to be able to use this function very easily. You'll be able to give them a note. It'll say what it actually does, return the return on ad spend ratio of 2 inputs. They can click on it. They can see an example. They can see right here, example ROAS. And all of that is in this formatted text here. And again, I will show you that piece by piece. But first, let's create the function. I'm going to go over here and rename this to a few R's. ROAS. And we're going to rewrite this as I did before. Function ROAS. That's all you need to do. We're going to revenue. We need 2 inputs, revenue, comma, spend. That's all we need to do. Go over to the end of the parentheses, add a curly brackets, hit a couple new lines, and now we are going to create our function. What do we want to return? We want to return our result, whatever the resulting ratio is. Okay, how do we get the resulting ratio? First off, we need to do the first thing that we did earlier, which is variable percentage, could be percent, it doesn't matter what we write here, percent or percentage equals revenue divided by just the slash. That's all we have to do here. The math in JavaScript and AppScript, it's just math divided by spend. Okay, great. But now how do we make sure that's rounded to 2 places? We're going to create another variable, rounded. We're going to get equals. We're going to take that variable that we just created, percent, and we're going to do the function toFixed, and we're going to round it to 2 places. All we have to do is put in parentheses the number 2. That's it. And now the rounded is going to take that percentage, which is revenue divided by spend, and fix it to 2 places. Cool, but now the next thing is we need to concatenate, but we don't use the function concatenate in JavaScript or in AppScript here. We want result equals, we're just going to get the rounded number, whatever that number is. We're going to use the plus sign here, and we're going to do in quotes :1. So just like before in our calculate ROAS here, let's delete that, we had concatenate with this :1 because that percentage is just based on 1. We've normalized it down to 1, not 1,000, not 2,000, to 1. So we just need to add that :1. And here in AppScript, instead of using a function called concatenate, we literally use the plus sign. This adds these things together, but we'll do it in a text. We will be like combining these 2 texts. The plus sign does that, not concatenate. All right, let's save this. And now let's check if our ROAS works, our new function. We always want to check, just in case we miss something up. Our revenue is going to be B2, comma, C2 is our spend. Now it shows us unknown function. If we hit enter, it'll say loading, and it still works. Even though it says unknown function, it still works. This is great. We can keep using, we can keep trying this out. Okay, it all works, it's correct. But we want to make it much more elegant than unknown function and this red line. We want to have autocomplete here. So how do we do that? All right, let's look at our JSDoc. We're going to do /**. It's going to give us this, it'll autocomplete this so far. We're going to write returns the ROAS. We're going to do something different than we do down here, just so that we know that it's completely different. Returns the ROAS of your number. This is very poor help here. An example is ROAS 3,000, comma 1,000 returns 3:1. All right, hit enter. We're still in this comment, which is /**, and then at the end / or asterisk. Now we have a parameter, which we have 2 parameters here actually, and we can do curly brackets. We're going to do, put our example here. revenue. We don't want, actually want 2 spaces, I think. Revenue, we need 1 more space. At param, we have a second one here. This is not as important, I think, but it will help. It'll help people to see how this function works when you put it in there. All right, we're going to hit enter again. And the most important thing with JSDoc and AppScript and these custom functions is at custom function. I'll show you what happens if we don't have that in there. 1 second, but let's just make sure this works as prescribed. There it is. Now it is autocomplete, ROAS. It is on the list. We can even, I think, let's see if this works. If we rename this ROAS in all caps, I'm wondering, will that actually makes it, there it is, ROAS. Now it looks literally as another function in this list. It looks no different whatsoever. It has the helper here, ROAS. If we click on it, it has an example. It has the about section that we wrote at the top without having to say about. It has this revenue, amount of revenue. It has the spend. As we type it in, 4,000, or actually we can reference B3. It will automatically go over to the next one, spend. It's highlighting here, the spending amount. Okay, C3. Let's double check that it's got it correct. Perfect. So now what happens if we don't have this custom function? Again, this is the most important part of this text up here. We have some text up here. Actually, I think we can get rid of all this param stuff too. It's not unnecessary, but it's super helpful sometimes when you have different parameters and you want to explain what those are. But what about this custom function? What happens if we don't have it? What if we just put the text in and we're like, oh, we forgot custom function, and you didn't remember custom function? What would that look like? Go back to R. See, now it looks exactly like it did before. It does not have autocomplete, but it still works. It will still work. To C2, there we go. It still works, but it doesn't have the autocomplete. So if you want autocomplete, just add at custom function right here. There you go. That's 2 ways to write ROAS into, or create ROAS or calculate ROAS in Google Sheets. We did a formula here, and then I showed you, as if you have not been in AppScript before, I showed you a very simple way to do it in AppScript, and this custom function text, this JSDoc text up here, which I think is just one of the most magical things inside of Google Sheets. We can absolutely create these kinds of functions and calculations in a function using formulas, and it's totally okay. But we can do better, right? We can create an app script that does it more elegantly, especially if we are an agency or we have clients, freelancers, or we're creating this for someone else to use, including if you work at a company and you're trying to make some sheet for your boss or your coworkers or even your employees to use consistently, and you don't want them to have to remember a formula and go back to old sheets, they can just take this app script and just start doing the calculations themselves with your math, right? But even with that app script, it can be better, which is adding this JSDoc makes it so much more elegant. This custom function that you write yourself gets embedded into Google Sheets. Thanks for watching that video. If you're looking for that sheet that you see inside this video, become a member of Better Sheets today. It is one of the only ways to get every single sheet, every single template, every script that I write, you can get as a member. So become a member today at bettersheets.co. If you'd like to see if ChatGPT can write script or can even automate spreadsheets, go check out this video where I attempt to use ChatGPT to automate spreadsheets. And if you're really interested in learning more about programming inside of Google Sheets, here's a very quick guide to programming in Google Sheets. So you can learn to program in Google Sheets if you already know how to program, but it also is a very good introduction to Google Apps Script.